Welcome, everybody. It is a breaking news edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. On today's podcast, of course, I'm talking about the big trade. The Browns this afternoon making a fairly significant deal, acquiring, long rumored to the Browns, wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. What did the Browns give up? What does this mean for the team? What does it mean for free agency? What does it mean for the cap? We'll get to all of that and more on this breaking news Saturday edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers.
You're watching Adam the Bull on the Bet Rivers Network.
Let's get right to it, folks. We've been talking for months. I was going to say weeks, but we've been talking for months that the Browns need to upgrade at the wide receiver position. And you knew that you had your number one receiver in Amari Cooper, but the Browns have not had that number two guy in a while. They needed a legit second option at wide receiver. Clearly, they have a good second option in tight end David Njoku, but they needed a guy who could be the second option overall, certainly the second option at wide receiver, or at worst, the third option overall, and the second option at wide receiver. Elijah Moore was not it. The Browns traded for him. He was a former second-round pick. He had done very little with the Jets and then did very little with the Browns. They've drafted guys in the third round 3 years in a row. So far, none of them have panned out. Anthony Schwartz now cut. David Bell hasn't done much in 2 years. And Cedric Tillman didn't show much as a rookie. The Marquise Goodwin experiment didn't work. So they had to turn the page and get somebody else. We thought for a while they would. We hoped they would. They created some cap space recently with contract adjustments to Denzel Ward and Jedrick Wills. They freed up, I want to say about $30 million in cap space, or I think actually less than that, about $20 million in cap space. And today they make the move. They don't wait. Now, technically, it won't become official till the league year begins Wednesday afternoon. Tampering period begins on Monday. But when it becomes official on Wednesday, the Browns will have traded a 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick for Jerry Jeudy. Now, the Browns, before this trade, had 2 5th-round picks and 2 6th-round picks. They're giving up their higher pick in each draft, or in each round. In the 5th round, that's a significant difference in terms of where it is. I mean, I don't know if it's a significant difference overall. But it's the 135th pick. In the 6th round, their 2 picks were close to each other. It is the higher, though, at 202. So this trade leaves the Browns with just 5 draft picks in the upcoming 2024 draft. That, as of this moment, the Browns have 5 draft picks. But so they'll have a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, their other 5th, their other 6th, and a 7th. Now, will they end up trading Greg Newsome or doing something else that ends up adding draft picks? We'll see, but that's another story for another day. For now, we talk about Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is a guy that had been rumored to be traded to the Browns for a long time. We were spending a lot of time in September, October, November, really going back to last summer, talking about the possibility of the Browns trading Jerry Jeudy, even before they traded for Elijah Moore. And in recent weeks, the name hasn't come up, right? He was a big story last summer, thought that he might be traded. The Broncos ended up picking up his 5th-year option. I think he was the 15th overall pick 4 years ago. And this is his 5th-year option. So there's only 1 year left on the contract. He's scheduled to make about $13 million this year. That will be the cap hit for the Browns. Now, it's always possible, like other restructures they've done, that they could restructure or even try to extend Jerry Jeudy. If they do that, I would think it would be on a short term. I think this is a good move for the Browns. Jerry Jeudy is not a star. He's never had 1,000 yards. Overall, for Denver, you'd consider what he's done disappointing, but there's still plenty of potential upside. The guy is still very young. Jerry Jeudy is 24 years old. He came into the league at a very young age. He's been on a team with not particularly good quarterback play. He will turn 25. He'll turn 25 soon, next month. But he's still very young. This past season, he played in 16 of 17 games, had 54 catches, 758 yards, and 2 touchdowns. His best season was 2022. He was really good at the end of the year. The last 6 games, he kind of lit it up. Overall, 67 catches, 972 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So 8 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons, playing in 31 of a possible 34 games. He has played at least 15 games in 3 of his 4 seasons. He only played 10 in 2021. So the guy is, in his career, he's been a pretty good receiver. Not great. Let's not get carried away and talk about this. I feel like every time the Browns make a move, oh my God, they got the greatest guy on the face of the earth. No, they didn't get the greatest guy on the face of the earth, but he's a good player. He fits what they were looking for as a second option. Well, this week, as we were talking about potential acquisitions for the Browns at wide receiver, after T. Higgins was off the board and Michael Pittman and Mike Evans, the guys we were looking at, Calvin Ridley, Mike Williams, and Marquise Brown. Those guys are all number 2 wide receivers. None of those guys are number 1s. They're all number 2s, and Jerry Jeudy is in that class. Now, all of those guys have had at least one season more successful than he has, but I believe he's in that class of second, number 2 wide receivers. And he's probably somewhere between the 30th and 40th best receiver with the potential to be better than that. I think he could be as high as somewhere between 20 and 30. I wouldn't expect anything more than that as being unrealistic. But I think if, it's a big if, Deshaun Watson gets back to the guy we want to see him be, which he was last in 2020, that with Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and hopefully Nick Chubb, that Jerry Jeudy could have a very good year. I think he could get 1,000 yards. I'm very confident that if he's healthy, he'll at least get 800. I would think he'll be somewhere in the 800 to 1,050 yards. I think he'll be somewhere in that range if he stays healthy this season. And as I said, he's been relatively healthy in his career. I think he's missed, I want to say, 10 games in 4 years, and 7 of those 10 were in one season back in 2021. So I really like the move. I'm not going to go over the top because Jerry Jeudy's, like I said, he's a nice player. He's not a special player, and people tend to go a little over the top. But what I like the situation. First of all, the Browns gave up essentially nothing, a 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick for a guy that has the kind of upside he does, even if he's just what he's been for the most part for 4 years, a 800-yard receiver. That's better than any of the other receivers on this team. And he's done that playing with, in 3 of his 4 years, terrible quarterbacks. This last year he had a decent quarterback in Russell Wilson, but the other 3 years he had nobody. And so I like the player. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be highly motivated because he's a free agent at the end of the year. Amari Cooper apparently is the reason he went to Alabama. So I don't know what kind of relationship they have, but clearly he looks up to Amari Cooper. So that's good for the situation. You may remember, I don't know if this was last fall or before Deshaun Watson got traded to the Browns, there was a report out of Denver, and Jerry Jeudy had said, "Oh, I hope we get Deshaun Watson." It was a big deal because at the time it looked like I can't remember exactly what it was, but Drew Lock was the quarterback and whatever. Obviously, Drew Lock didn't go anywhere, but so obviously Jerry Jeudy likes Deshaun Watson. He has at least some relationship with Amari Cooper, and I think we feel you can take a breath now, right? Because most of us felt the Browns have to address the wide receiver 2 position. Now, in a perfect world, yeah, you'd love to have gotten Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, T. Higgins. They're all a level above, if not more, than Jerry Jeudy. But based on what was available, based on what you gave up, Jerry Jeudy is a quality, solid, at worst, I think he's a mid-tier wide receiver 2 with the potential to be a high-end 2 or even a low-end 1 in terms of, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Amari Cooper because Amari Cooper's a better player. I'm just saying if you were ranking all the wide receivers, I think that's the potential. So I give it a thumbs up. I'm really positive about this move. I think it probably means the Browns will not do anything else significant at wide receiver. I would expect that Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown, and Mike Williams are now off the table because, in my opinion, this guy is the same level of player. My man G. Bush wants Operation Stockpile, and if the Browns end up, hey, maybe get Calvin Ridley, a 3rd Alabama receiver, I'd love it. They got Marquise Brown fine, but I would assume at this point, because of this deal, that they will not acquire Mike Williams, Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown. I think we could see them go after a very cheap veteran receiver in addition that could potentially be a fourth receiver. But I think what you really like about this move is that Jerry Jeudy, contract season, clearly he's a number 2. Elijah Moore was not a number 2, but as a number 3, he's fine. Also, now Cedric Tillman, David Bell are 4 and 5. Now, if you're going to keep a 6th receiver, maybe it's another veteran. Maybe they go sign a veteran that can play the slot. Maybe you go sign Tyler Boyd at a cheap price. A good veteran wouldn't be bad. A player of that ilk. But this is a good move by the Browns. Again, I wouldn't expect them to now. I expect them to not spend any significant money in free agency at the position. It's a $13 million cap hit. They can look to extend him. I like it. I kind of like leaving him. I understand they may want to, do something to create cap space, but I like the idea of Jeudy playing out his contract year. If he has a great year and the Browns love him, there's no reason why you couldn't get him to stay the following year. And the Browns are not afraid to spend money. If he has his breakout season with the Browns, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't keep him. Keep him on his contract year. Keep him motivated. Let's go. It's a good move. I like it. I think it's, Marquise Brown was the guy I wanted. This guy's even younger, and he's been just as healthy, and he's been just as good, pretty much. So it's a good move. Good, solid move by the Browns. I got nothing bad to say about it. Just be realistic with your expectations. He's not a top elite receiver. If you're realistic about it, they didn't need that. Yes, you'd always love to have 2 number 1 elite guys, but that was not a realistic option. The realistic option, again, the guys we talked about, Ridley, Marquise Brown, Mike Williams, he is in that class. And he could be just as good, if not better, than any of those guys this season. He is significantly younger than Ridley and Williams, and he's younger than Brown. So smart move by the Browns. Nice job by Andrew Berry. He has struggled drafting wide receivers, but he stole Amari Cooper, and based on the draft picks they gave up. Last year, there was talk of teams giving up a 2nd-round pick for Jerry Jeudy, or at least a 3rd. Browns gave up a 5th and a 6th, when it seemed like there was interest from other teams. So kudos to Andrew Berry. Nice addition for the Browns. Another weapon for Deshaun Watson. It's all on him now. That's it. I mean, you got a number 1, number 2 receiver. You got a top tight end. You're going to hopefully have Nick Chubb back. Maybe I'd like to see the Browns spend a little money in free agency on running back. The Browns have the talent here. There's no excuse for Deshaun Watson. He's got to play well this year. And if he does, then the Browns are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. It's that simple. All right, thanks for joining me on this bonus breaking news Saturday edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. It's going to be a crazy week coming up. I'll be on 5 days a week on UCSS this week. I'll be doing at least 3 podcasts this coming week, if not more, if there's breaking news. I'll be live on the podcast Thursday at 2 p.m. taking your questions. Thanks to Brian Monzo for producing. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.